Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. This is a way of life that emphasizes positive sexuality, self-love, and confidence. On this journey, red is now your new color. Be courageous. Be passionate. Be sexy. And never stop living your best red life. So now I have one question for you. Are you ready to live your life in red? To join us on this journey, like and subscribe below. Welcome to the Life in Red podcast. This is Brittany, your host, and today I'm so excited because we are joined by Sarah Haynes. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
And
so
today
to be here.
we are, sorry. Got a little bit of a delay. That's why we're going to leave it in. I like real. So yeah, today I'm so excited. First, I want to introduce Sarah, and then we're going to go into what we're going to be talking about today. Sarah Haynes is another certified sex therapist with a AA SET, SAA. Hold on, Brittany. I got tongue-tied. AA SECT. Woo! She is certified, y'all. Yeah, A-sex, baby.
See,
she knows about sex. Thank you. I was trying to overachieve here. She is a sex therapist. She is a counselor. She deals with the nitty gritty around sexuality. And the reason why I wanted her here today is because we had so much fun during the pre-interview talking about myths around sexuality. These myths that we have preconceived notions about sex and the way people are. And we're going to debunk them and have some fun today. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Say that again because I'm excited. Be excited.
Woo! Yeah, we're going to be double excited. So tell me and tell the viewers what got you into, because this is always a fun question. I always love hearing it. What got you into helping people with sex?
Well, it's like, I think it's something that it's always been, my family was very sex positive and just grew up with, being able to ask questions and I don't remember how old I was. I hadn't even had my period yet, but I remember my mom saying whenever you're ready to have sex, let me know. We'll get you some birth control. And
yeah.
So it was just always out there. Right. Also in Canada. So she became an icon in the US as well, but Sue Johansson, did you ever watch, did you ever get into that one? Did you ever watch it? She was the older lady who had the call-in show. So she had in Canada, it was a Sunday night sex show. And then I can't remember what they ended up calling it in the US, but she actually did get into the US market as well. But she was amazing. And I remember being a kid and had this, it was a free gift at Claire's with purchase as this little tiny radio. And I remember laying in bed and listening to this, and it was fascinating. And it was just something that from a very early age, I was wow, that's really interesting. I'm just learning all these little tidbits. And that always just stuck with me. And so when I moved to the US, originally from Canada, moved to the US, lived there for a big chunk of my life. At the moment this year, we're half and half US, Canada living. So we're right on the cusp. But when I got down there, I remember watching stuff on, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was on HBO or Cinemax or one of those, I don't know, just about sex. And there was all kinds of different episodes with different topics and whatnot. And it just, again, sucked me in. I was this is just so interesting. And just being really into it and just wanting to learn more. And that just kind of kept me going. So it just, yeah. And then when I went to school for doing therapy, I just, again, was kind of drawn to that. And then I learned that certified sex therapists were a thing. So I was I want that to be me. I want to do that.
Cool.
So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears later, here I am.
Oh man, that's so cool. When you brought up, forgive me, what's her name again? The personality in Canada who, okay. So it's funny because I was in the opposite situation with you. I was not allowed to listen to anything like that. So I was listening to Dr. Laura, and I did the same thing as you, but I was a kid with my headphones on listening to the dramatic stories of relationships and marriages falling apart. If I could have got my hands on that, I'd still be here. But I was the same way, but about human relationships. So that's so cool. I wanted to act like I knew who that was. I really wanted to seem like I was in the know. And I was like, yeah. Oh my God, of course. Then I was like, you out of me. You're like, do you know who that is? I was not expecting you to ask me. I was like, no, I don't.
Like, gotcha off guard.
But I could. Yeah. So thank you for explaining. So you've been into sex your whole life. And you grew up in a situation that made it safe for you, which is super rare and so amazing. And I think it's so cool you followed your passion all the way here. And it is, you can just tell by your vibe that like sex is something you have fun with. It intrigues you. It's your passion. And so like what better than to help people deal with the shame. I'm pulling up these questions, deal with the shame around sexuality. So good for you.
Yeah.
All
Side
right.
note. You need to Google she was on Conan O'Brien, Sue Johansson. I can't remember who else was there, like Ray Romano maybe. But it's hilarious. She like pulls out these sex toys and actually wears like a dildo on her forehead and just has these two grown men completely like red-faced, embarrassed, like didn't know where to go with it. Like,
dude, I am like when I leave this, I wrote it down on my phone. I'm like, I got to look up this woman, this masterpiece, because this is fascinating. Because like we had Dr. Ruth, I did know about, was not allowed to follow at the time, and I was fascinated by her. But this is awesome, Sue Johansson. All right,
may she rest in peace. Pour one out for my girl.
Oh.
She passed away several years ago. I can't remember what year, but I know we lost an icon.
I mean, she started early. Like that's brave. Good for her. Rest in peace, and hopefully we can pick up where you left off and stir the pot a little bit more.
Yes.
So let's do it today. This is for you, Sue. This is for you, Sue. This episode, we're gonna stir the pot. Okay, guys, you ready? Let's get into the myths. The myths that is holding you back in relationships. The things that you think are true, but you're wrong. All right. All right. Today, we're going to start our first one. And Sarah was kind enough to put these together because she has the experience helping people that are struggling with these beliefs, holding them back. Here we go, guys. If you masturbate or watch porn every day, you have a sex or porn addiction.
Yeah. Ooh. I know.
Okay. So I'm guilty here, being the punishing girlfriend. I'm going to call myself out. Don't get me wrong. Like, I just wanted to make sure. I was like, okay, if you're banging that more than you're banging me, you have an addiction.
that is something that comes in a lot. Like, I've seen that in my practice where, you know, one partner is upset that the other one is masturbating because they think, well, we're in a relationship. You shouldn't need to masturbate. Like, I'm here. You should be having sex with me. Right. And there's reasons why we masturbate sometimes over sex. And it isn't about the other person. Right. But that's that's part of that myth is they think it's me. Just doesn't want me. Isn't attracted to me. Right?
Well, would you say in contrary to playing devil's advocate, like, all right, now if someone told me, Brittany, if my way to get stimulated was visually, like most, I would say males, you are not allowed to masturbate, which has been my self-soothing mechanism since I was a child to get through trauma and to calm down. And it's my private thing. If someone told me I'm not allowed to do that because you're in a relationship with me, I tell them to go, themselves kindly. But I think the issue for me was it's not about you masturbating. Like, you don't have to deal with the emotions. Am I going to perform? It's not necessarily all about arousal either. It's just literally to release the pressure. It calms you down. Porn could be that visual stimulation you need to get the erection or stimulation. If you're female, that's fine. But if they're doing it all the time and it's a compulsion and it's hurting your relationship that way, I think I would ask you, is there a difference that maybe that grew that myth?
Yes. Yeah. There are going to be those that it does when it, and again, we don't necessarily use the term, or at least a lot of folks in AASECT, we don't use the term sex addiction or porn addiction, right? Yeah. We'll say out of control sexual behavior.
Yes.
Where it's exactly what you're describing, right? Where it's becoming more compulsive, and it's where it kind of runs into like, are you doing it at work? Are you sneaking off to like the janitor's closet to like quickly rub one out, or like, right, go into your car and doing it there? Like, what is it? If it's impacting different areas of your life, like significantly, then yeah, it's become a problem, right? That's where trying to find those other coping mechanisms is going to be important. But if it's the other one where it's just like, just like a little time with myself, right? Like, who doesn't? We all need me time.
Tell me.
And whatever you do with that me time is on you.
It is. And I think like I've been dealing with a lot of experts that have been studying the male brain as the animal, not the identification. The animal, the body, the vessel. And the stimulation usually, there are gray areas, is visual.
Yeah.
So they see said sex worker, porn star, whatever I like to give them pretty names because I love them. But it's like we see their beautiful bodies and they stimulate the blood flow so that they can release. And I think a lot of women, and not just women, I'm sure men who don't like it either, with their partners, they think it's personal. So yeah, I know firsthand I am guilty at that one. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. Men always want sex.
Well, of course, right? That's what we're told. Is like,
let's see.
They're just always up for it, right? Any port in the storm. Have you heard that?
Wait, what was that again? Sorry.
Any port in the storm. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Yeah. And again, it comes to, there are different sex drives. There's compulsions. There's different phases in someone's life, maybe. So like men always want sex. And like, what was the phrase you just used?
Any port in a storm.
Yeah. I hear this a lot. That they just always want it and they're always down. Like they have a constant stiffy.
Right. Like they're just walking around. It's like radar, right? It's just like, I'm gonna go that way. Like,
yep, there's a good looking female and then it's like, or a male, like, oh, not safe. They're gonna try to, or they're talking to you and they're smiling at you. They want to do it. Yeah. Well, so would you say like, what would be the reasons they wouldn't want to? I mean, they're like every other human being, right?
Well, and like everybody, I don't know, the drives differ, right? Like there's various, I don't know if you ever are familiar with like Emily Nagoski's work. Shout out to Emily Nagoski.
Yes.
Like,
I am familiar with Emily Nagoski, for real.
Yeah. And like, so in her book, Come As You Are, she talks about the dual control model, right? Where there's things that hit the gas and there's things that hit the brakes. And so for everybody, there's going to be things that hit one of those pedals, right? And like, I don't know, sometimes it probably feels like you're trying to drive a stick shift and you have no idea what you're doing. Like that would be me. Like, you start, stop, like, I don't even know. Like,
I relate, girl. I'm the same way. And we had an episode, we talked just about Come As You Are. But it was like foot on brake. Sometimes the men have the foot, or the women have the foot on the brake, and we're talking about men right now. They always want sex. I've personally been in a relationship where my foot was on the gas and they were on the brake, and I'm like, but you're a man. Like, aren't you supposed to always be on the gas and mine's supposed to be on the brake more?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's that myth where that is what society as a whole thinks. Like, more often than not, maybe that's more of the case, but it's not 100%. There's various reasons why. So are they really stressed out with work, right? Are there issues in the relationship where does he feel like he's getting yelled at all the time, right? Is he getting criticized all the time? Is it, are there things within that relationship that he's just like, I'm not in the mood. I don't feel like it. Just can't get myself there. Right? And then, of course, that doesn't help
and
things, because then...
Well, and that ties back to my relationship with I was talking about the porn thing.
Yeah.
The foot was on the brake because we were having a bump in our relationship.
Yeah.
But the porn existed still. And that's when the war happened with these two myths. I was like, yeah. All right. We're going to keep going. Women only have sex to please their partner.
Mm-hmm. Because women don't really just actually like pleasure and like, orgasms and having fun. No.
Then if that's true, you haven't had the right sex. But maybe you need to try something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
It's like so many think that's how. But yeah, it's like, oh well, it's just. Like in TV shows, movies, like all of those things, there's, like, oh, well, it's his birthday or it's our anniversary, so I guess I've got to put out kind of thing, right? It's like,
happy birthday, you get a BJ.
Yeah, exactly. Birthday BJ.
Yep. I heard that on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Lisa Vanderpump used to say that. Well, it's your birthday, hon. I was like, oh. And that'll lead us to some of our other myths. That ties into a lot of them. We'll go ahead and jump into this other one that women don't want sex as much as men. And this ties into everything.
Yes. And like you were talking about, like that was your situation where you wanted sex more. Right? Like, so it is. It's like we all have our different libidos, like our different drives, and sometimes they are mismatched. Right? But it's it's not always the men wanting more and women just like being the keepers of sex.
Right. Well, it's interesting because we got help and I thought it was mismatched. Then I was like, damn, I love him. But, oh shit, but it ended up being stress, environmental stress, work stress. And then it ended up being that I was hypersexual, not sex addict guys. We don't do that here in ASECT. Exactly. I would have been to you other people a sex addict. I wanted it all the time. And what I came down to, and maybe men, you can relate to this, is when you're starved or you think you can't have something, it can trigger those woundings of abandonment and desire. Why not me? Why not me? So it made me aroused over and over. As soon as we worked things out, I was like, is it your birthday? No, I'm joking. But is it your birthday? All right, I guess. No. But we had to talk through the porn stuff. We had to talk through all those things. And then my sex drive went down. I was like, oh my God, it was self-preservation.
It was.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So I got to keep him. That was cool. Because he's hot and he's awesome. All right. If a man turns a woman down for sex, here we go. He's just not that into her.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Right. And that is, I think I would say probably like every couple that has come in where she wanted more sex than he did, that was what they thought. Right. Yeah. Or if there were times where, like sometimes it's like the husband or the boyfriend is, well, I want to feel wanted. I want to feel desired. Right. I want her to initiate. Well, she's like, well, I tried to initiate and you turned me down.
That's not
so I'm
hot.
Not doing that again. I'm not putting myself out there again. Right.
It's like a chore.
It hurts.
It hurts. It really did. Like that was some a mourning period was very hard for us to get past because it was so ingrained in me. All these myths were so ingrained in me. And then the porn would haunt me. It would haunt me that he is jacking off to her. It was like and I do have OCD, so she stayed there. And I was like, well, it's time to up the Zoloft. But I was just like, it was really hard. And then I realized like, no, he's stressed. So he's getting off compulsively because I'm stressing him out from not getting, it was just this cycle. But, so yeah, guys, not true. So let's go to the next one. If a man, no. If a woman can't orgasm, good one. If she cannot orgasm from sexual intercourse, there is something wrong with her. Ooh, this one got me emotional.
So many people with vaginas think that, right? That it's something wrong with me. And then sometimes too, the partner thinking like, well, it's my fault. Like, I'm not doing good enough, right? And it becomes that whole cycle.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not true.
Yeah. No, because I didn't orgasm until 2 years ago from inward stimulation.
Yeah.
Outside. Now, are we talking about, is that what most people complain about, is like they can't get off at all? Because for me, it was inside.
Sometimes it can be both. When we're talking about like penetrative, right? There's, what's the stat? Like 30%, somewhere around 30% of people with vaginas come from penetration.
Oh,
that's a very small number, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not coming from penetrative sex, it's not you. That's just your body. Right? Like the clitoral stimulation, that's where more folks are going to have an orgasm. But even with that, it depends on so many different factors, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, and I've had times where, talk to somebody, they're, have never had an orgasm, and we're talking, kind of exploring that and like gathering information. I'm asking about, like, okay, so when you masturbate, do you have an orgasm then? And like, we kind of talk through it. It's like, okay, so what actually happens? Like, walk me through it. Tell me what happens. And what they described was a little orgasm. And I was like, okay,
so they
you did
just
have
didn't.
one.
They are comparing it to Hollywood.
Yes, where it's like,
like Harry Met Sally.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not having that. I'm just laying here like, oh. And it's like, so I've never had one.
And it is, right? And it's like, because there's exactly those things where we think of what it's supposed to be, and we hear these stories of what we think it's supposed to be, but it's not always going to be that, right? Like, there's so much other things into it. And sometimes it is just finding different ways of, whether it's for yourself or with a partner, different ways of exploring touch and like finding what works for you, right? And it's also, there's a lot of folks where we need a little bit more of a buildup. Like, you have the little mini one, but then if we kind of keep going and try like some different touch and some other things and play around, that they can build and get bigger, right? Like,
yes,
because people with vaginas, we can have multiple orgasms.
We can. Yes, we can. That's my presidential. Yes, you can. Oh my God. I'm telling you, just to give y'all hope, I thought, my mom always said it runs in our family. We don't have our first orgasm till later. And I'm like, what? And I was like, well, that sucks. And I'm like waiting for the magic fairy to show up. And then all of a sudden she shows up.
The orgasm fairy.
And so it was safety. The orgasm fairy shows up. My partner, for me, it had a lot to do with my self-image and being vulnerable with another human. So I had to let go and to feel naked in front of someone. And then also it was always in my head about, do I look good? Are they enjoying themselves? I never was in receptivity. Yeah. And so then when I found a partner who I did feel that way, and it took me getting older, I had to get a little bit ready to receive. And then I felt safe with him. He gave me time to get to know him. I am on the spectrum, so I have Asperger's. So I have hypersensitivity to a lot of things. So I found out he had it too. So he needed time. It is. So we both needed time. And then when you finally get it, I'm telling you guys, it's like boom, boom, boom sometimes. Yes. Like, it's awesome. Yes.
Bang, bang, bang.
It's great. Bang, 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 baby. All right. Okay. God, I relate to all these. Okay. If you get an STI, you're a slut. You're dirty.
You're dirty.
You're dirty girl. You weren't careful enough.
Like, yeah. And that one gets so many people because there are so many, like, the shame that comes with that if you do end up getting an STI. And chances are, if you have multiple sexual partners, whether it be 2 or 20, at some point in your life, you're probably going to end up with something.
Yeah.
And it's like, even the ones that, HPV, that one is probably one of the most common ones, I would say. And there's various strains. So the different strains do different things, right? Not all of them actually cause the wart growth, right?
Yes.
You can end up with the abnormal cells, which is why we get our pap smears. Yeah.
Yes. Get your papers, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's one that, unfortunately for people with penises, there is no test for it unless they actually get an outbreak where there's visible warts. Wow. They can be a carrier and they don't know, right? But it is one that your body can fight off, and it will no longer be a thing, but it just takes time.
Well, that's happened to me. I found out I was pregnant. I had HPV through the testing, and I was a regular tester. Everyone I sleep with, I know I slept with all their partners, so I've been with a million people. That's fine. And so I found out I had it, and then after I had the baby, the vagina fairy came and took it away from me. It was awesome, and I get tested though. And, but I will admit a vulnerability. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this on this show, but I'm going to go ahead because I think this is bullshit. I think it's bullshit. I've had enough with this myth. I've had enough in the dating scene. I'm honest with every partner I think I'm going to sleep with. I am like, I got the bumblebee sting. I call it the bumblebee sting. They're like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, I got herpes. Like, I hate that name. They got cuter names. I call it the bumblebee thing because that's what it feels like.
I like that.
So, and I was, I was like, I got stung by the bumblebee. And the shame I carried the first year after I found out was so hard. And I knew for my own moral ethics, I had to tell each partner. Yeah. And I did. And there were some people that shut the door on me. And I was like, but I felt good about me, but there was so much shame. Even my current partner had to think about being with me because he knew he could get it. And it just felt like a scarlet letter.
It does, right? And it's even if you don't have an outbreak, like there's still that fear, right? Of like, is there a chance? Right. And
is there a chance?
Again, there's so little, I don't know. We don't talk about it. Right. It's another one of those things
it was scary to say
about. Like, I know. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no.
It's like, with like trying to like telling somebody that, this isn't, back in the day, maybe when we waited like months or something to have sex with somebody after we first started dating them. But that isn't, I don't know, since like what, the 90s? Like, I think we knocked it down to like 3 dates in like the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Now it's kind of like, whatever, that's all out the window. Like
3 dates, that means he's in love with you if he waits that long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're wifey material.
You're getting married.
You're getting married. Oh man. Well, no, I think STIs, and I still call them STDs sometimes, but STIs it is one of those conversations. I hope on this program, now that I'm out, it's very interesting. It's something I want to normalize talking about because my OBGYN told me it is so common. 80% of you or more have this, don't even know it. And it should be a thing. He was like, where it's like, hey, I got my papers. Let me see yours. Yeah. And you use protection or you get on medicine, like.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Like even those with HIV, right? Like,
that's rough.
It's not transmittable if they're on the medications and they're getting their viral loads checked. Like,
oh wow,
if they're low enough, you actually are not able to transmit the virus.
I didn't know that. I hope you guys heard that because that gave me goosebumps because those people who get HIV have gotten so much shit. Yeah. And it's just not, it's like, especially in the 90s and 80s, and like, they used to show us videos
epidemic,
in school.
Right? Like, yeah.
Thanks for joining the Life in Red today, where we embrace passion, confidence, and positive sexuality. Keep painting your journey in bold red strokes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us so that you never miss out on living your best red life. Ready for more? Stay passionate, stay red.
see you next episode.